Hi Aries. I have so much to say to you guys. Alright, so I'm gonna put the cards aside for a bit. So, if you don't know already, Chiron is conjunct with, can't even talk. Chiron is conjunct with my sun right now. Chiron is transiting through Aries. And funny enough, so my sun is at 2 degrees of Aries, so it's on the cusp of Pisces. So it's kind of like, think of a car, right? And it hits an animal, which is, oh my God, I can't even deal with stuff like that. But it's like, it hits an animal, right? And, you know, Chiron is like, oh my God, did I hit something? So they back up. And it's like, oh my God, did I hit something again? And, you know, then eventually it's going to go direct. And it's going to drive over the animal again. But in this case, I'm the animal. And, yeah, it's not my favorite transit. I will say that. So Chiron, it's the wounded healer. But you cannot become a wounded healer until you heal your own wounds. And then that's the beauty of Chiron, right? Because from our own really painful experiences, we're able to come from a place that's healed, and we're able to pass that wisdom on to other people. Our deepest wound is going to act as an unconscious force that kind of, you know, it's essentially going to, using the car analogy again, but I don't know, it's going to drive you in an unconscious way where you might not even realize it. So depending on where Chiron is in your chart, for me it's in my 12th house, which is pretty rough. But, you know, that's, I'm like debating restarting the video. Here's the point I'm trying to make. With Chiron going over your sun, or if you're an Aries moon, if you're an Aries rising, you know, Venus in Aries, like if Chiron is going over any of those personal planets for you, I'll be honest, you're in for a rough time. But it's all with a purpose. So I'll use myself as an example again. But with Chiron going over my sun, this is the planet of wounded healing. So with it going over my sun, it's almost like peeling back layers to be like, hey, I know this is how you've been living this whole time, but like, what's going on under here? And no, it's like peeling back layers of skin. It hurts a lot. And, you know, think about an injury. I don't know why I'm thinking like a burn victim or something, like something with skin coming off. People go into shock, right? People go into shock. Like there are layers of skin that are not supposed to be exposed. They're painful. Like, you know, it's just letting in all this stuff and people go into shock. And this is obviously very different. It's emotional. It's all the unconscious stuff. And, you know, it's like the way that you or I have been going about being in the world is so far without confronting how much our deepest wounds are actually hurting us. You know, is our light being dampened because we have emotional traumas that we haven't healed yet? Do we feel clunky and awkward and unsure of ourselves in the world? And so, you know, I put up, like, I think the first half of the videos for the month, and I kept trying to put up the rest, and every time I would do it, I would somehow talk myself out of it, or I don't know. Like, even today, I was all pumped, ready to go. I'm like, yay, I'm excited. I'm finally going to do the videos. And at the last second, my head just started to get fuzzy, and I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, and, you know, I really had to check in with myself and be like, hey, you know, what's going on? You are okay. And, you know, with Chiron going over a personal planet, if you have one in Aries, this is a time where you need to understand you're going to feel vulnerable, very vulnerable. You're going to feel like people are against you, or you're really going to have to, people are going to question the validity of who you are, what you're doing in the world, the way you carry yourself. And I don't know why my nose is so itchy. Oh my God. And, you know, it's like, you don't come across, at least during this transit, in the same way that you would normally. So normally you could walk into a group of people and be like, oh, I can lead the group. And during this Chiron transit, it's like people might be like, oh, no, we're okay, let's pick someone else. Or, you know, people might not look at you with the same respect. And, you know, that's because we're not able to wear the same social veneers that have been carrying us. So, yeah. Chiron is also usually tied to, at least for women, it can bring up a lot of issues that women had with their fathers growing up, and how the relationship with their father, you know, shaped their relationship with men currently. Or, you know, overall, it's, I'm sorry, I keep blanking out for some reason, can really show why their relationship with men is the way it is. Or, you know, maybe they're constantly seeking, they, whoever, constantly seeking validation and seeking, you know, the, like, thumbs up from everyone around you. And what this time is you're not going to get the same validation. You're not going to get the same support. And the people being like, oh my God, you're amazing at this. In fact, you're probably going to get a lot less than you're used to. And this is a time that really calls for you. You have to be your own cheerleader. And yeah, you know, you have to get in touch with yourself, and you have to see your strengths. And if you know that the path you're going down is what you're meant to do, you need to just cancel out all the noise around you, and you need to only listen to your inner self. And when you know that you're right, you need to, you know, create the energy. Or, better yet, if people are sending you negative energy, it is then your choice to keep it as negative energy or transmute it into positive energy. So if people throw negative energy at you, you can change it into positive, and you can use that to encourage yourself. But, yeah, Chiron transits are really rough, and, you know, I just wanted to say this because it's not forever, but you're going to come out of it feeling like a much stronger version of yourself. And where you had strong insecurities before, they're not going to be as prevalent in your life. Or maybe they will be, but you'll be able to separate yourself from them. They won't be a part of you, but they might be something that you have, but you'll be able to hold them separate to you. If that makes any sense. Man, it is really hard to communicate right now. I mean, honestly, it's like nobody wants to deal with, I don't want to deal with this stuff. I'm going to be honest. I really don't want to. You know, I've seen this transit coming up for like 2 years now, and I was just like, I don't want to do that. And I actually just had Chiron conjunct with my moon, because my moon is 25 degrees Pisces. that was rough. But, you know, if you want to think of the beginning of the transit, maybe I was like the Page of Cups. And I feel by the end of the transit, I feel more like the King of Cups, where I really have a very strong understanding of my emotions and a lot more emotional control. I'm still emotional, don't get me wrong, but like, it's not just irrationality. You know, it's everything has weight, everything has meaning, and you can feel a lot without drowning the world, you know? One other thing I wanted to mention before I do your reading, and there are some people who only jump on here and they're like, okay, when does she start pulling the cards? Skip all this stuff. And all this stuff is valuable. Let me tell you, this is the part that I think about ahead of time and I meditate on. So if you want to skip ahead, go for it. But honestly, this probably has more value than the tarot reading. I don't know about that, but maybe. I have had, basically I'm in this really unpleasant living situation, right? And we have had all kinds of insects, right, in this building. And I'm currently also in the process of moving. But there was a few weeks where it was all these little beetles. And, of course, my initial reaction is to just freak out and, you know, spray apple cider vinegar on everything. And my poor cat is like, what the hell is this woman doing? Help, help. And, you know, I can't stand stuff like that. It just makes, ugh. I really hate it. And, you know, initially I was torn between, like, I just want to kill them all, and, like, then I'm vegetarian, I don't want to kill anything, and I'm like, oh, but I didn't want to live with the beetles either. And then one day I just slowed down and I stopped, and I'm like, what's the spiritual meaning of beetles? You know, when animal is very prevalent in your life, like, yeah, you know, you could just freak out and be like, get it out, get it out, get it out. Or you could slow down and try and listen to the meaning and the message that is coming towards you. So if you think of a beetle, they have, you know, a hard protective shell. I guess not hard enough because they're fairly easy to squish, which is sad. But, you know, the design of the beetle was to protect them. They are very grounded. You know, for the most part, they're always crawling. They can fly if they need to, but that's not their normal method of transport. They're, for the most part, grounded. And the message behind beetles is to be able to change and adapt to your environment quickly. So, you know, this influx of beetles was like, hey, changes are coming, stay grounded, which normally I always say like, oh, I need to ground myself more, but I never do, and I don't do grounding exercises. And honestly, there are some days where I'm so in my head, like, you know, I'm super Pisces, like everything. I'm just laying up here and wherever, and I forget that there's a world down here, and I have responsibilities and things that I need to be taken care of. Let me just make sure this is still working. Oh, shit. Yeah, anyway. So, the next, after that, we had ants. So, ants go with the Chiron transit, right? So, ants all work together in a colony. And let's say you decide to squish one ant. You save the rest, but you squish one. And there's this feeling like, oh, you know, I just killed this one ant. It doesn't matter. I mean, if that's the way you think anyway. But if you think about it, you know, all the ants do matter. And if you squished all of them, it's like they're all working together to keep this colony going. It's really interesting. I like kind of stopped and slowed down and just like watched them for a bit. I probably sound crazy, but I didn't want to kill them. So, you know, it's like they'll kind of use their antennas to like find where their colony is, and they'll work together to bring food back. And so, you know, yes, it can signify working as a community, working together, which is the issue with this apartment. But, well, one of them. But through anything, you know, you can try and catch an ant, you can put a cup over it, and at the end of the day, they're going to keep working. They're going to keep trying to find food, bring it back to the colony, and like keep doing everything they're supposed to do. They're going to ignore all the obstacles around them. They're going to get around the obstacles, but they're going to push through no matter what until, you know, they die, something kills them, whatever, but they're going to keep going. Yeah, and so it's like the ants were kind of the next step where, you know, it's like, hey, you're in a shitty, like, you know, situation, but you need to keep going. You need to keep moving. You need to keep working hard and, you know, ignore all the don't ignore, but push through the obstacles around you. Don't let them stop you from your goal. And then about 2 days ago, all the ants disappeared. Don't know where they went. Luckily, none of this is in my room. But, yeah, so the ants were gone. And the past 2 days, it has been flies. Not like a ton of them. I left like a tomato outside, and there was like a bunch on there, and, you know, it's kind of why I left it there. I'm like, that will feed somebody. But like, you know, I have noticed like one or two, or like in my bathroom, just on the mirror, there was like just this one fly, and I was like, hey, what's up? You know, and it wasn't freaked out. It wasn't startled. It was actually very calm. Even when I walked by it, it didn't move. It was just like, hey. And I'm like, hey, it's cool. Like, you can stay. I'm not going to kill you. And, of course, then I had to look at the spiritual meaning of flies. And flies signify being so close to your end goal. And this huge amount of abundance is right around the corner. And now is not the time to give up on what you're moving towards. When I read that, I was like, thank God. So, yeah, I don't know. It literally felt like, oh, I'm blanking. You know, when it was like, God, I am the worst semi-Jew ever. It's like, it's not, is it like 7 plagues? Or, I got out of Hebrew school. I, like, grifted my parents into not making me go. Like, you know, I traded so I wouldn't have to go. But anyway, you know, it just felt like one day it was locusts, and the next day it was like flooding, and like, I don't even know if I'm getting any of that right, but it just felt like one day after another was awful. And when I shifted my perspective, I'm like, okay, all these things that I think are awful that I cannot believe are happening right now, shift your perspective, and instead of seeing it as an affliction, look for a message in it. You know, if you start seeing a bunch of raccoons, I don't know. I live in Brooklyn, so I don't really see a lot of raccoons. I miss them. I would like to. But yeah, you know, if you start seeing an animal that's really prevalent, go take a minute to look it up. If you take a minute and, you know, I'm not saying go stare at every bug on the street that you encounter. I mean, you can if you want to, but that's not what I'm suggesting. But, you know, if there's like one animal, one insect that you really, really, really pay special close attention to, and you can catch yourself in that moment, find out what it is, and just go look up what the spiritual message might be. That was probably my longest intro spiel ever, but let's start your tarot reading if you haven't already clicked through this part anyway. Okay, so I was saying that these readings were going to be for the month of July, and then I said I'm horrible at sticking to a schedule, so I didn't want to say they were for July, but whenever you see these readings, it's when you're meant to see them. Yeah, I wish I could stick to a calendar or schedule, anything like that, but I'm just like, oh, thank you. Like, Excel is like my worst nightmare. Okay. Yes. All right, Aries. So, actually, I'm going to draw all the cards first, and then we'll talk about that one. Oh, we are having a time, aren't we? I feel like that's going to be the middle card. I don't know. So we're going to make it the middle card. I'm just watching this camera, making sure it's still picking up everything that it's supposed to. Okay, so Aries. And I feel called to draw one more card there. And, okay. Then I'm going to draw one more of these. And if you guys like this spread, let me know. I was just doing like a Celtic cross spread before, but I really like this one. I think I don't know, there's a lot more room for interpretation. Great. Okay. You know what? I'm actually going to show you the bottom of the deck here too. So, we have the outsider. Okay. And I just got that deck. It's the Osho Zen Tarot deck, and I love it so much. So yeah, the energy that we have going into the reading is projections. So I believe this is the Seven of Cups. And we project our inner world outwardly. So let's say you are in a state of emotional turmoil, right? We project all of that energy outwards unless we ground ourselves and we separate what's going on in our inner world from our outer world. The experiences we create and have and the people we bring into our life and the way that we see them and our perception, it's all a reflection of what's going on in our inner world. I have been in abusive relationships in the past, and you know, the first one I was in was the worst, and after all of it stopped, I realized that I had to go through this. I had to have a person who spoke to me so horribly with so much hatred to realize the way that I spoke to myself and the way that I saw myself and what I thought I deserved. You know, the type of love that I thought I deserved. We project it outwards so we can see that. And then you stop and it's like, I don't deserve that. Why would anybody deserve that? And then you start to catch yourself and you start listening to yourself, you know, your self-talk, especially if you're not focusing on it. When you finally do, it's so destructive. it can be so painful. And, you know, there's certain times where you're like, I can't even believe I said that to myself. That's awful. So yes, whatever situations that you are currently encountering right now, keep in mind that they are somehow a projection of what's going on in your inner world, what's going on in your psyche. You know, like with my living situation, I've been trying to figure it out, and I'm like, for the first month, I was like, you know, I really screwed up on my credit in the past, and, you know, I was never like a dirty roommate, but I was a messy roommate, and I was like, you know, I deserve this is my karma. And it wasn't until the end got really, really bad with, like, you know, how inconsiderate people were, that I realized, like, I don't deserve this. And now I've been working to get out of it. Instead of just thinking, like, no, I earned this. It's like, no, I don't deserve that. And the bottom of the Crystal Visions deck, we have the Queen of Cups. So the Queen of Cups, I always think of her as a Pisces, but this is just, okay, I'm biased. I'm super Pisces, so it's like, of course, I'm going to think of everything as Pisces. And it's not. But this is someone who is very in control of her emotions. She's empathetic. She's sensitive, but she's intuitive. She's nurturing. She's sweet. She cares about others in addition to herself, but she practices self-love. You know, she's tranquil, but with this confidence. And, you know, it's just, she has this very subtle power to her. And, you know, with these two decks here, with the Outsider and the Queen of Cups, if you're in a situation where you feel like you are somehow on the outside looking in, where you want to belong, you want to feel part of it, you don't want to feel nervous and out of place, but you just are, it's, you know, it seems like you're handling it in a way that's pretty noble. And, you know, if you're able to be in a situation that's uncomfortable and really starts to pull at sensitive parts of you, like, you know, it's like when it's your home, for me at least, that's somewhere that, like, I need to be comfortable, and to be able to keep your composure and keep calm it's a big thing, and it'll actually make a really big difference in your situation. So if we're looking at the past column here, we have the Three of Cups in the upright, the Three of Pentacles in the reverse, and Judgment. So the Three of Cups in the upright, the Three of Pentacles in the reverse, which is ironic because this card only has two people, and Judgment. So the first thing that I thought of with this is, especially because, you know, you're seeing on the first card, these women are, you know, socializing, they're letting their emotions flow freely, there's moonlight, there's water, I don't know, my face is so itchy, I'm sorry. There's water, there's moonlight, and they're just free to, like, let their emotions out. These two people here in the Three of Pentacles in reverse, they're working, it's daylight. And, you know, it being in the reverse, it looks like that's secondary to the Three of Cups energy. So this could be insomnia, you know, in favor of staying up and pushing work to the side, or pushing, like, those normal daytime activities to the side, because, I mean, I know for me, I feel calmer, I feel more in my power and safer and everything at night, just because there's not so much energy bouncing around. But this can also cause, like, you know, if your life is primarily at night, partying, or just being out, and you're neglecting, like, your daytime life, it can actually have a lot of, like, shallow friendships. You know, like, you'll always have, not always, but, like, you'll have your bar friends where if you're going out, they'll text you, oh, hey, what's up? And, you know, you'll go hang out with that. But during the day, like, when you're trying to get a job or you're at work or something like that, you know, you don't really interact with those friends like that. And with Judgment here, you know, it's like you're kind of sitting down and you're like, you know, at night I feel okay, but, like, you know, the sun's up and I feel alone. And I think what this can kind of do is, like, cause, like, a split, you know, between two ways of being and too heavy of a focus on the emotional world versus, you know, your stability and your money and work. In the present, we have the Unknown card, which this card is like, we have the Five of Swords in the reverse, and we have the Emperor. Okay? So, the Unknown card is just like this woman who's like, haha, no information. So, although her eyeliner is pretty cool. Yeah, so you're confused right now. I think you are really focused on harnessing your own power and finding where you should be confident and finding where your strength is. And, you know, there could be negativity around you, and it's like you feel like there was backstabbing in some way or you were betrayed in some way, but it's like you're not sure. You know, it's like part of you just feels spiteful and like you want to get back at people, but you're also like, I think, like, I'm pretty sure, but, like, are you? Are you projecting? You know, there is a call here to have a reality check with yourself and really analyze your situation and to check your perception and make sure it's matching up with what you think your environment is, what you think your situation is. So in the future column here, we have the Ten of Wands in the upright, the Knight of Swords in reverse, and the Chariot. Okay. So the Ten of Wands in the upright, immediately I thought of the ants, which is, you know, ants have to do a lot during the day. I don't know how many food particles they're collecting, but I'm sure it's not fun work. But I see this as you carrying all the crap, being so close to being done, biting your tongue when coming across an obstacle, which might be a person, where you really want to just bite their head off and scream at them, but biting your tongue and picking and choosing your battles, or understanding, hey, I have to do this, and I have to do this, and I have to do this. I need energy for all of these things. Do I want to take that energy and use it to scream at this person? Or am I going to breathe, center myself, go meditate for a few minutes, maybe even have more energy to go complete these tasks? Pick and choose your battles. And as you save energy for what's important, you can furiously move towards your goals. And, you know, by doing that, you can leave all of this crap behind you. So we have the Fool in reverse is the energy coming out, and maturity. So the Fool in reverse, I see that as, actually I'm seeing it as like a retrograde Chiron energy. So the Fool is the Aries card. And, yeah, you know, Chiron is really getting us in tune with who we are, how we're going to carry ourselves in the world, and like, you know, the very core of our essence. And with it being retrograde, all that energy is directed inward. And so I do see the Fool as a new beginning. I just see all that beautiful transformative energy at the moment being inward, which is not a bad thing. That is a beautiful thing. You know, it's the inside that matters more than the outside. And this transformation is going to bring you to new levels of maturity that you have not reached yet. Nowhere near it. You know, I don't care if you're 10, I don't care if you're 80. You are going to climb to a new level of maturity at the end of this Chiron transit, and you will notice a big difference even once Chiron goes direct. But just remember, guys, I am feeling this Chiron transit really strongly. Again, it's directly over my sun, 2 degrees Aries right now. And just know that you are not alone in this. And, you know, if you just want someone to talk to, and, you know, feel free to message me. It's always good to feel like you have a support system, and you do. And if you want a personal reading, I'm happy to do that as well. And we can discuss rates and all that fun, practical stuff if you send me a message. Yeah, but thank you so much for tuning into my channel. If you haven't already, please, please, please like the video, subscribe to my channel. We're so close to 1,000 subscribers. It would make Carl very happy. Yeah, and I'll see you soon. Thanks.